I've been with my fiancé for 3 years, 8 months engaged. We've had our ups and downs, but for the most part things have been pretty great, until she moved in 6 months ago. We've been combining our lifestyles and finances, basically easing into merging our lives together. The problem is she's a people pleaser, in her own words. She's been in therapy for 6 years, and I guess I never knew how bad it was until moving in with her. A lot of which she's hidden from me. She recently was promoted into accounts payable at her company and realized she is the lowest paid person on payroll. She didn't negotiate a good starting wage, and has never asked for a raise, or had one, despite multiple promotions. She inherited a car a few months ago and sold it. She had offers online from $18,000 to $25,000. But sold it to the first person who showed up for $10,000. She caught someone stealing her bike at college. The woman stealing the bike managed to convince my fiancé that it was actually her bike and my fiancé just let her take it. Despite the fact that she caught the woman cutting her bike lock. Last spring was my 30th birthday and she ordered a giant chocolate cake for the party. The cake normally comes with nuts, but given my allergy for nuts she ordered it without them. Well, when she went to pick it up and it had nuts on it, she just paid for it and brought it home. I couldn't even be in the same room as the cake. Which brings us to tomorrow. My father recently passed away and I need to fly to the other end of the country to get things sorted out with family, attend the funeral, etc. Meanwhile, we recently had a pipe burst in our home, and the contractors will be out tomorrow to fix it. My flight's at 6 a.m. and my fiancé will have to handle it, including all the negotiations because we don't know the extent of the damages. I've been giving it a lot of thought and I just don't trust my fiancé to handle it. And if I can't trust or rely on her to do something like this, how can we really be life partners? I mean, I trust that she is always looking out for me, and has my best interest at heart, but I can't trust her to get things done. We've talked about it a few times before, but it's been unproductive. She's convinced she's just being nice and doesn't like confrontation, then brings up examples of extremely confrontational people. I think she puts her aversion to conflict above her / our long-term goals, and she needs to find a happy medium. She doesn't understand how negatively this is impacting her life. But at the same time, we've had some amazing years together and she really is a great person. We're compatible in almost every other way. My brother-in-law has always been a bit of a ruckus. Just a very jolly guy, used to be a hard-partied when I first knew him but not so much now. I mean, he still likes to drink and he smokes weed, but nothing compared to how he used to be. He stays in the basement apartment, which is a full apartment, separate from ours, with a kitchen and bathroom etc. In our house ever since he lost his apartment. He has never really been able to keep a good job, no college education, and also ADHD. And we live in NYC, so affording rent is impossibly hard lately. This was supposed to be a temporary thing for him, out of desperation because he lost his apartment. I should say that he has gone through multiple phases of depression from just living hard much of his life. I remember seeing him when he was in his 20s and he was just a damn mess. Living in shit apartments and working shit jobs, and I remember he was super depressed, like, you know, that kind of depressed. For a bit around a decade ago because of how awful his life was. And it was awful. I won't sugarcoat it. He was getting mugged in his area constantly. His apartment was horribly small and he worked horribly long hours. His ex-wife was awful to him and cheated on him. But in the past 2 months that he has been here, he's been an absolute joy. To both me and my wife and also our kids. We all love him so much. He clearly loves the basement, it's even bigger than his old apartment, and just in general it's in a much better location. He has said, multiple times, how much he loves it at our place. He also is just a great guy to have around. He is a blast with our kids and he always cooks food for us and is just a general great, funny, charismatic guy. He got a new job, working 60 hours a week at a shit job. And now he wants to move out to his friend's place all the way in Coney Island where he would be spending half of his paycheck on rent. At first, we were like, okay, well, this was our agreement, he was eventually gonna leave. But then we kinda had a family meeting and realized, hey, we want him here. I don't even care if he pays nothing in rent, he's great to have around. Just to be clear though, we did tell him he would have to pay something a month, a number we haven't decided yet. When we told him this, he kind of thought it was a joke, but then he agreed. He was very happy about it, and we were too, and we were kind of thinking like, he's a member of our house now, you know? But then he changed his mind suddenly, and was saying how he doesn't want to be a freeloader and that he thinks we are just allowing him to stay because we feel bad for him. He really will not listen to us at all when we say that we actually want him to stay. Even our kids, teens, have tried getting him to stay and he just won't accept it. Every time we bring it up to him, he sort of does this pity thing where he's like, come on, I know you think I'm a loser. I'm not gonna mooch off of you guys or something along those lines. It's been around 2 weeks, and he just kind of feels bad about it. It is absolutely a pride thing for him. He technically plans on moving out in the next few weeks, but we really want him to stay, and we know that he would love to stay. I feel like there is really no chance this is some kind of deep down he hates it here kind of situation. This is 100% a pride thing for him. I manage a team of employees in a very specialized industry. The employees are hired on 2-year contracts that are mostly automatically renewed. Salaries are fixed for the duration of the contract, but raises are negotiated at time of renewal. There are no non-competes. I have one employee, Sarah, who requested a meeting with me last week to discuss a possible raise. I informed her that it is a little early as her contract won't expire until Jan, and I would be happy to discuss it in November. She told me she would like to discuss it now as her current salary does not reflect the amount of work she is doing. So I set up a meeting with her on Friday and told her I will hear her out. To her credit, she gave well thought out presentation listing the average salary in her field, the extra responsibilities she had to take on, and the extra revenue she was able to generate, etc. In the end, she asked for a 19% raise to stay on. This was a substantial jump, but I thought she made some good points and, with inflation being what it is, I can sell it to the managing partner that we are locking down a good employee for 2 more years. After the presentation, I told her I will just approve the raise and talk to the managing partner about starting her new contract early. Since the only things we are changing are the salary numbers, we can have the new contract ready for her to sign by Tuesday. She seemed very surprised that I did not try to negotiate and looked a little shell-shocked that the meeting was over so quickly. So anyways, I spent the entire weekend selling the raise to the partners and harassing legal to get the documents ready. However, when I gave her the documents to sign this morning, she asked for another meeting to discuss salary. She informed me that after doing more research over the weekend, her pay is still not reflective of all the work she is doing. At this point, I got pretty annoyed and told her that we can discuss in 2 years. I thought that was the end of it, but after lunch she came to my office with 3 offers letters she received from our competitors. One in our city with a salary that is 2 to 3% higher, and 2 from other states that are 8 to 9% higher. She asks for the new salary to at least match the competitor in our city to stay. At this point I got very frustrated and told her that she is now free to work for our competitor, because her contract with us will not be renewed. She called me in, and left crying, immediately telling all her coworkers that I fired her for asking for a raise, which obviously caused quite an uproar. My wife thinks that I am the because I could have just said no. She probably had the other offers for a while and was never going to actually leave. She recommended that I offer her back the new contract. Anyways, I am contemplating going back to the office tomorrow and offering Sarah her new contract again. But I just felt like the relationship between us is ruined after this whole situation. Her currently contract is negotiated 2 years ago, which is why there is a discrepancy in pay with the current offers. There are also a lot of reasons for differences in salary even within the same city. Perhaps less PTO, maybe more responsibilities, maybe they lock them in the contract for 3 years instead of 2. Which is happening more and more now. Maybe they have a non-compete, or maybe they are better. I can't say. Her contract expires Jan, so she has plenty of time left at the company if she wants to finish out. Sarah is WFH today, so I sent her an email apologizing for overreacting yesterday, and informing her that she is an important member of our team and that I worked really hard to get her the raise she initially requested. The new offer still stands provided she return the signed contract to me today before 5 p.m. I would be happy to execute it immediately and get her sorted out before the next payment period. She emailed back also apologizing for her reaction yesterday and said that she enjoyed working here and feels like she really has an opportunity to grow. But she then ended the email asking if I would still be willing to reconsider upping the offer to match her other offer. At this point, I just can't even anymore. I basically ignored her email, and at 5:01 p.m. with no signed contract from her, I sent an email to the managing partner I was talking to all weekend. Hope this email finds you well. I am writing to inform you that Sarah has elected to decline the new contract as it is written. She has informed me that she received an offer from our competitor with a salary of XXX. I have attached a scanned document of the offer letter with this email for your convenience. She has requested that we match that salary to retain her services as our current offer is insufficient. As of right now, her contract expires January 22nd. Please advise on the next steps. My twin sister, May, and I are identical. At the end of our first year of college, I was in a car accident, and I ended up with a facial scar and major trauma. I started seeing a therapist because of the nightmares and the fact that I was panicking any time I got into a car. That led to me realizing there were some deeper issues, which we worked on. As part of that work, I got a physical. Started working with a dietitian to fix my diet and the smorgasbord of vitamin deficiencies it caused. I started working out, strength training 3 days and sprints or HIIT on 3 with our older sis. By the end of our first year of college, we had each gained about 30 pounds. By the end of the next year, I had lost half of it, but I was smaller at 134 pounds than my previous 120 because of the muscle mass. And that's been my size for the past half-decade. I found a new beautician, and she gave me long layers to make my natural curls be curls instead of waves of frizz. I always wanted but that my old one said would look bad and refused. I stopped bleaching it and let it go its natural dark blonde / light brown. I stopped spray tanning. Again, that's been my look for the past 5 years. I live in a rural area, and the internet isn't great. Things like FaceTime just aren't options, and I can't post a lot of pics on social media /see of it. This is relevant because a big issue is that May didn't see me over the quarantine. We talked on the phone a couple times a week, but it mostly revolved around her wedding planning. She got engaged before the Rona put us on lockdown. I wasn't her mo, so mostly I was being told decisions, not involved in the process. When it came to the bridesmaids' dresses, May sent our sister, Sil, and me a link and told us to get it in our size. Same with hair and makeup, but we had to arrange for a beautician because May's wouldn't do more than 4. And she wanted her friends at the appointment with her. Except she didn't do a bachelorette party with us, she did with her friends, or rehearsal dinner. So May didn't see any of us until the start of the wedding. She was livid. Apparently, she thought we would have stopped working out because of the Rona, even though we did it at home. Or that we would have stopped when she announced her engagement, so we didn't upstage her. She was mad because I didn't try to hide my scar and didn't tan, thought it would be implied. She made several snide remarks before throwing a drunk temper tantrum at the reception, basically accusing the 3 of us. But me ESP of trying to upstage her. I don't have that excuse /C I was a DD so sober, but I, quite famously, have a low tolerance for angry or crying drunks. I told her, if you're so insecure, you should have got off your ass instead of expecting us to lay on ours to make yours look better. It only got worse. Our family is on my side /C I didn't start it or do anything. But his family and her friends are giving me shit.